All right, so we're live, episode number 14, Pure Purpose Show. Who knows you the best? And my main man, Anthony, is with me in physical realm, not just in the spiritual realm.
Episode number 14.
And, he is literally in our house here and joined us, which is pretty incredible. And D is on the line from US of A, the magnificent US of A. So I'm going to switch off the tumble dryer so that we don't get that into the program. And while I'm switching on the tumble dryer, Anthony, since you're the guest in the house, start us off on who knows you the best.
Yeah.
Who knows the best?
Who knows the best? I've no idea what to do with this one. I've had with the subject title for an hour now, and
I've been stumped over a full minute too.
Yeah, and I have to say I've been completely and totally stumped by that one. I think that we know ourselves, or clearly we know ourselves best, and we also have certain how do we say, sort of challenges, because we all have our our shadows and blind spots and the things that we can't see our own. Or let me pull that back a second. It's a huge challenge to be able to see our own beliefs, perceptions, and assumptions about the world and ourselves and reality, and see them for what we are. They are beliefs, assumptions, and the other thing that I said, perceptions, rather than seeing them as the truth of the way the world is.
Okay. Lots of thoughts there. D.
Hi. I'm going on Instagram stories and asking people who knows themselves the most. So I want to see like real-time updates. Okay. I just asked Jason and Anthony like 36 seconds ago what the topic was. So, okay. Who knows themselves the best? This is an interesting conversation, because I think that while we strongly feel that we know ourselves really well, what ends up happening is that we're put into a lot of circumstances and around other people that are perhaps outside of our comfort zone, and we think that we would react a certain way. And then when you go into it, you're just like, all right, perhaps I didn't even know myself that well. Interestingly enough, there was a study, and don't quote me on it because I'm not sure where. It's just one of those like Forbes article that I sift through. And they did a study in terms of, okay, what would they took like 100 people, right, in this university, and it's like, okay, what would you do in this scenario, right? And so they wrote it down on paper. And then what ended up happening, they played out this scenario probably within like the coming weeks. And then it was completely like 27% of people only predicted properly how they would react to the situation. So 27% out of the 100 people that took this case study was just like, okay. So it's interesting. I think that we all really want to say that we know, and I'm saying this as a whole to like all of humanity. I think we all really want to say that we know ourselves the most, but it's always great to have outside perspective really coming in and just saying, this is how I perceive you, right? One of my favorite exercises that I've done before was asking 5 of my very, very closest friends. I haven't done this in a long time. I should do this again. But asking 5 of my closest friends, like, okay, what do you really think of me? How do you perceive me? And I don't want any biases. And I was sure to ask people who I knew would be upfront. And so I wrote all of these things down. I'm like, okay, this is how I am. This. And then at the end of the exercise, I was smacked with the reality check of how people perceived me, right? So I think through this whole journey of like self-discovery, it's like I want to be certain that we all know each other, but in the reality is like a lot of people don't, and it's okay to ask for help. But we can jump into that. So Jason, typically when you pick these topics, it's just like from our random generator, right?
Yeah, in terms of the topic is picked by random generator, but like we sort of pre-decided the themes a while back.
What was your, yes, I remember. What was your immediate reaction when you chose this topic?
Well, I first misread it. I read it as "Who knows the best," which is actually, that's why I put you in the brackets, actually, because I thought that was a powerful question to ask anyway. Because I think there's a whole thing of going like, you know, we inevitably end up listening to or inheriting advice and knowledge from elsewhere, or seeming knowledge, but we're not really sure where it comes from, how it was derived, who made it, why is it being put forward, was there an agenda behind it, etc. So actually, you know, I've been listening to a lot of like biologists, physicists, creationists, right? All these kind of like self-help gurus and all that stuff, and they all kind of say, or like there is an inherent kind of disagreement a lot of the time, sometimes completely in the opposite direction. For example, like one thing that comes to mind is Bashar talking about law of attraction, right? So it's like, it's not so much the law of attraction, it's the law of repulsion, right? So you kind of repel things, you push away things out of your existence that you don't really want, right? So it's more about kind of really coming into congruence with yourself and knowing what is it that you really want. And as soon as you come into that congruence, you have it immediately. There is no other way, because you are the creator, universe, and all this kind of stuff. So it goes back to kind of who knows the best. You know the best. Who knows you the best? You can know yourself the best. It's just a question of whether you're pushing away from yourself the true stuff that you want, or you know, it's because my understanding was that the way he was describing this is the law of attraction implies that you don't have something and that you need to get it from elsewhere. And in fact, what's happening is that for some reason, we're always just saying no to lots of things that we actually want, right? So if you then say, well, the universe is conspiring to give us everything we want, it's just that we're pushing it away from ourselves. As soon as you let go of that push, you get it. Does that make sense? So it's like, it's not a law of attraction. It's like, I have to attract that because it's like a billion miles away from me. It's just like, let go of this kind of battle to not have it. And as soon as you let go of that battle, you have it instantly. And so that plays into the whole thing of like, who knows you the best, or who knows the best. It all, because it all just is, you have instant access to all of it. It's just that you don't necessarily believe so. And because you don't believe it, you're battling against the existence, really. And you then have to some extent, listen to your friends and listen to the environment and react to things that are feeding back on you. And then like, well, is that really true me? Is that not me? Do they know? What? And so you get confused with this fucking, you know, seeming complexity, but actually it's so simple that like whatever you just, when you let go and you stop battling, you get that thing that you were battling with in the first place. You get it instantly. And so if you just trust and believe that you can play piano, you'll sit at it and you will make music that's beautiful. Did I just kind of lose everyone?
Nope.
No.
I just like watching. It's interesting because I get to see the both of you, and then I'm watching like Anthony's reactions, just like glancing over. So it's hysterical.
But within this, what I said is like, you know, there's probably about like billion law of attraction videos being put on YouTube by the second, and people are getting certified law of attraction coaching kind of certificates. Mm-hmm. And, you know, they're just kind of, they've entered this realm of law of attraction and teaching and coaching other people about that stuff. Whereas if you flip the script on it, it becomes so much simpler potentially, and actually more true, more in the knowing. But then again, I'm not necessarily 100% sure whether what I just said is right or wrong. And that's not even the right thing to say.
Well, isn't that sort of the
point?
Isn't that the nature of the game, though?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And what I mean is like I you know, it's like I don't think there's ever been, for me, there's never been a thing of like the law of attraction is like the second law of thermodynamics. You know, it's like somebody made up a thing. And they found it works, and it rather than called a sort of an idea about attracting what you want, someone decided to call it a law because it sounded better.
Yeah,
and that helps more people buy into the idea that it's a truism.
Don't fuck with the law.
Don't fuck with the law. Whereas you know what's simpler and better is, you know, saying like, actually I have pretty much everything I say is either only like is either you know, it can be truth in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's an expression of truth right now.
Yeah, the Eckhart Tolle now.
Yes, the Eckhart Tolle now. Yeah, it's an expression of truth right now, and that, you know,
then it's gone.
Well, no, and often that has a really big impact and influence on the situation, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So for example, you know, someone said you lose your job, and everyone around you is going, "Oh, that's terrible," or "That's terrible," and someone else comes up to you and goes, "Wow, that's fucking brilliant! What a great opportunity!" And boom, truth in that moment, and you know, that can change your entire, you know, be one of those life-changing moments. Yeah. And the question is it a law or not? Does it help us play the game and win and succeed? So if we take on an idea and a belief that we are responsible for everything that happens to us and everything in our world, does that make it simpler and make us more effective to achieve the things that we want in our life? Not is it some universal truth, because you know, because then you're saying that, you know, people who are born into starving poverty, well, what they wanted was starving poverty, and they just didn't attract their mansion well enough, because that just doesn't stand up to, like, you know, 5 minutes of non-spiritual wanker investigation, you know. Whereas if, you know, me having to live in a society, in a culture where, you know, I can choose relatively to be homeless and live in the woods for 2 weeks, just because I prefer that to going to stay in a
mansion.
In a mansion. I think if I had the money for the mansion, I'd probably go with that rather than woods. But
why do you need the money for the mansion?
Just steal it. Yeah.
No, just to beg you to stay in the mansion.
Absolutely.
Because you're such a great person.
Well, I clearly haven't come up with a powerful enough message and all that stuff to get into
or maybe you have, you just don't know.
I just don't know how.
You don't know.
Well, what we know for sure, all we can say for sure is that have not been in the mansion yet.
This is the worst. D, please say something.
Save us.
Say something.
Listen, bromance.com over here, okay? Like, I'm just loving this energy. Okay, so I'm going to speak from the standpoint. So when I first heard this title, I think on like the YouTube videos, like, oh, who would you take advice from, right? And it just made me think about every single person that I have encountered in my life that has really made an impact of some sort. So it's like, if I'm thinking about people who I should actually take advice from, maybe there's like 2 or 3 that I would consider. So one of the avenues that I've done before, which I'm sure most of us have, is, you know, people who care about you. So people who truly care about you, whether it's your parents or a lifelong friend, you know, will give you really heartfelt words of wisdom, if you will, right? And if they disagree with what it is that you're doing, those who care about you will be willing to tell you, you know, that truth. And their motivation really, theoretically, is to help you, and they'll be happy for you when you succeed, right? But quite often they'll be able to see your work from like this different angle, and their suggestions can be really instrumental with helping you move forward. So, but of course, here's like the spin of it, is that, you know, there's going to be a lot of times when you have to set limits with like overzealous, well-meaning person who constantly insists on bombarding you with advice, right? Like too much unsolicited advice, even when it's well-meaning, it can really just get in the way of your mission and your goal. So, and then I want to look at it from like a business standpoint. It's like, whose advice and whose insight should I really consider? And it's people who use my services, like my clients, right? And it's like, it can be tempting for us to really get defensive when a client or a customer really criticizes your work, but it's important to really listen to people, to people that you serve. And so now just bridging all of these two together, it's like, you know, you serve your family, you serve your friends, you serve your community, and then you serve your clients. So, you know, they're like in this really great, unique position of knowing like what it's like to be on the receiving end of your business, of your personality, of whatever it is that you're, you know, putting out there in the world. So that's just one angle and one spin that I want to take on that. Back over to you, bromance.
Do you want to go next, or shall I?
You next, honey.
Yeah. So I picked up 3 things that I'd like to comment on. First thing, what my bro here said, does it help us win the game, right? The game is a frame in itself, right? So it's like, if you're playing the game, you are already like committed into something that somebody else or something else has set out for you. And the game can have like, what is it, like there's a bunch of different types of games, so it's like total, like, was it like some zero games, zero sum games, where it's like either I win or you lose or whatever. Do you see what I did there? Either I win. and it's like, it puts you into this terrible mindset of like, somebody is going to die here, right? Or like lose, and so games are dangerous in many respects, and like playing a game is a dangerous thing. Then the other thing that came to my mind is like, for example, I really like that guy from Actualize.org, whatever his name is. Leo from Actualize. He's just got that Leo name. It's like no surname, nothing, just Leo. The lion. Leo,
almost
yeah.
Neo.
So yeah, it's like it's there, like Neo, but instead of N, which is negativity, it's L for love, right? Leo, whatever. But it's like, so Leo from Actualize.org, you know, did this video thing. Check this out. He did this video where he went off to a forest that you mentioned. He went to a forest and he rented an Airbnb, like a cottage there. And I thought, like, oh man, he rented a cottage in forest. Must be some like dingy old kind of scruffy cottage and so on. And he goes, this cottage cost me quite a bit of money, like, you know, $1,500. I was like, fucking hell, that's a lot of money for like a 10 day stay. 10 days stay, right? He goes there and he's like, I'm going to shoot a bit of video to show you what I'm doing. I'm staying there, 10-day retreat, meditation, blah, blah. He walks into the cottage. He goes, the lighting is a little bit bad in here, and it's like not the best of the cottages, see this like a little bit, the ceiling's not finished yet. And I was like, this is amazing cottage, right? Yet this guy who is like the self-help guru is just fucking complaining about every single thing about this. And I was like, dude, you're not really enjoying your life. Like, seriously, I would have just been happy staying there 10 days in the tent, but he's kind of finding flaws with this little cottage. Well, it's actually, then he shut it from the outside, and the cottage looks bigger than this house. It's like not little, it's not bad, it's incredible, and it's like on this kind of drop in the forest, right? So you can see the rest of the forest from it. It's like incredible. And it was like, the lighting is a bit bad here, and dude, like fucking hell. And so the third thing, so what I'm saying is like, you can complain about your circumstances infinitely. Yeah. This complaining mindset is like, whoa, man,
right.
The complaining mindset is like the biggest illness of the mankind, I'd say. That's kind of big statement there, but yeah. And then the third thing, which is what Dee was saying, is that you serve people. I always have this issue with this serve, right?
And she said you listen to the people that you serve.
Yeah, no. But she says you listen to the people that you serve, which implies that you serve people.
It's true. Yeah.
To me, that's like, I don't really know whether I agree with the idea of you are serving people. You are serving people. Because you cannot serve anybody before you serve yourself.
Of course.
So this whole idea of serving people, to me, it's like, well, people are myself, so I have to serve myself first to even have a chance of being of service to anybody else. Therefore, to say, because I'm serving people, the very nature of the work that we do, right, is that we're helping people know. Check it out. We're helping people know, and we're talking about who knows the best, right? So if we are the people who know the best, we just spoke about that. I know the best about myself, and I cannot serve you. Like, I cannot serve you. You can only really serve yourself. And if anything, I'm helping you serve yourself. Okay, that's my service, quote unquote, to you. So I have to be in service to myself fully first. And then if you're like, oh, I want to know how to be in service of myself, can you help me be in service? Sure. I'm not serving you. You are serving yourself. I'm just catalyzing you to get to the point where you're serving yourself the most. Therefore, I'm not serving you. I'm serving myself. You're serving yourself. And that's the thing. So to help you know better, I just just need to help you catalyze your own congruence faster or better or more integrally. That's all I need. It's not that I'm serving you. I'm serving myself, because I don't want you to be an asshole. I don't want you to be this complaining bastard. I don't want you to kind of...
Exactly, because he's had to put up with it for like 2 days now. And
yeah, I mean, it's had like 2 days of this, and it's like up to here, man.
One of my favorite quotes is from Muhammad Ali, when he said, service to others is the rent that you pay, for your room here on earth, right? And it goes back to saying, it's like, in like the whole biblical sense, it's like, you can't really fill another person's cup with your gifts and your talents if you yourself is empty, right? So it's just like, you need to be able to pour into other people when you're coming from this full place. So I agree in terms of you are really unable to serve other people unless you are serving yourself first. And that's perfectly fine. You should be able to serve yourself first. But it's just one of those things that it becomes like a really, really great snowball effect, and like paying it forward. And yeah. Oh, and the one thing I laughed about this because Jason talked about the game, and I remember I put a lot of stuff out there on social media, like just for sake of like engagement purposes, or for people just to like chat back, just because you know, let's say a strategic play on my end. Do I believe in half of the things that I say? Probably not, but I know it's for entertainment purposes, right? So, but I know, because I know my audience really well, I was like, they're going to get a reaction out of this. So one of the things that I said was, you say you love the business game, but you're still sitting on the sidelines as a bench warmer. Anthony is laughing, right? I was like, stop passing the ball, take your shot before the buzzer goes off. I was like, this is going to be great. The first comment that I get was Anthony saying, hey, you, not so fast. I'm a master of the clinch assist.
But you see, hold on a second. That's even in that thing, right? Even in that thing, the most powerful person in that game, right? Let's say if you think about the basketball game, the most powerful person in the basketball game is literally sitting on the sidelines. It's someone like Mark Cuban, who owns the fucking team.
Yeah.
So he's not playing the fucking game.
Well,
He's not certainly not playing basketball.
He's not playing that game.
Yeah.
He's not playing basketball.
But he's playing bigger game, right? And the thing is then, so when D says, you know, cup, fill the cup, blah, 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 the notion of a cup is a limiting function, right? That there's something to be filled, right? That it can be empty or full. Either way, if it's empty, it's like got nothing. If it's full, well, there's nothing else can go in, right? So the notion of a cup is a limiting factor there. So that frame in itself, to me, is like, that's not really serving me, and it's therefore not gonna fucking serve anybody else. Because if I have to tell somebody that your mind is a cup that cannot be filled in or not filled in, I fucking failed them straight out of the box.
Proverbial cup.
Please help me here.
No, he needs to help himself.
I tried self-help and I just found that I couldn't. I was capable of helping myself.
He's not going to help you, Jason. So you calm down, okay?
It's like back in, 20 years ago, I used to say no to drugs a lot, but unfortunately, they didn't listen.
How do you say that?
I had the worst of times and the best of times sometimes.
It's the technology of gods.
It's the technology of the gods. Well, it is when you use it in that way, yeah. Which, the gods, but,
it's technology.
Most alcoholics aren't drinking it in that.
This is the thing. It's the technology of gods. It's just you have to be God first.
You have to be God first in order to use it as that technology of transformation. The alchemy to happen.
Yeah, it's like, because somebody gets an iPhone, and from that you could like rule the world, but instead you play Candy Crush.
Exactly. So there's a great line in was it by Michael Neal, and someone said he done this work with like heroin addicts, getting them stopping their addiction, and his coach turned around to him and said, well, that's great, but do they know that they're God? And which brings me to this thing about that one, but this one, because we talked about serving people. Actually, no, we're not serving people. We're serving purpose.
I like that.
Right? That purpose happens to include people, but it's serving through. It's almost like it's like serving through people, serving through your clients. And that's when literally like in coaching and the work that we're doing, it's it's pulling out, drawing out, grabbing that spark of genius and vision, and then holding on to it, even when your client sat there going, but I can't do any of this,
Yeah, because it goes back to like who you are, right? So I know that you're magnificent.
Yeah.
Right now, you might not feel that or be acting that way.
Yeah.
But you still are that.
Yes.
And so it just takes that time for you to go from I am that to I'm doing that and I have that stuff. So it's like it's a matter of it's like some sort of activation process.
Yeah.
The kind of switch, or like flip of the mind.
Well,
right?
I mean, we
Change
can
your mind.
think of it in a way of some kind of circuit that turns on, can't we? Well, actually, and in a neurological sense, as I understand it, that it's actually about being in our right mind.
Yeah.
And our right mind being the upper cortex, where we can be creative, act purposefully, go in the direction that we want. And then anxiety, fear, all these kind of stuff gets in the way and takes us out of our right mind and into the older
broken mindsets.
Well, not broken. Well, you see broken mindset, but actually, what's happening physically and neurologically, mindset's just a fucking concept, isn't it? But what's actually happening physically is that our our awareness, our attention, our flow of energy is in the older, more reptilian, mammalian brain rather than your human part of the brain.
Yeah, that it's not about survival; it's about thriving. Yeah, it's not about surviving; it's about thriving.
And you can locate. Presumably, you can then, neurologically, you can locate thriving within certain areas of the brain.
Yeah. Dee.
Yes.
Tell
I
us
had
something.
to set in 2 minutes, gentlemen.
So
but
wrap it up for us, and we'll just see how long we can go on about this after you.
I'm pretty sure this can be a marathon. So I think this is because. Are we in Jason, are we in on our 14th, 15th episode?
Yes, 14th.
14th. Okay, so for our 14th episode. So I think for me, the one thing that I really want to say in regards to all of this is for those that are catching this on demand, right? Is any advice or anything that you want to take in. It's like we waste a lot of time worrying about a harsh critic or getting defensive towards an acquaintance, an opinion who claims that you're making this big mistake. But one of the best things that you can really do for yourself is to learn how to tune people out, right? Like, don't waste a single second of your time justifying your decisions or arguing with people whose opinions you don't really ultimately value, because it's not serving you, it's not serving them. So instead, just really reserve your time and energy for the things that really matter most to you. So that's where I'm just going to end off in all of this, because at the end of the day, it's like you ultimately know what is best for you in many respects. And guys, I'm so glad that I was able to be part of this romantic weekend. Thank you for including me. And what was this one thing that you and I have been talking about all week, Jason, was reverse inclusion? Was that right?
Reverse inclusivity.
Reverse inclusivity. And thank you for including me in your romantic weekends. And guys, so I know that you're gonna go and continue with this talk, but for all those watching, click the link below and subscribe to us, and we're here every weekend. Bye guys.
Thank you. Bye. So what do you think he did?
I wasn't.
Okay. I think this has been kind of quite valuable in terms of discussing this subject matter, because I wasn't expecting. I feel like I've had a bunch of realizations in this.
Nice.
What do you feel?
Peace.
Yeah. Peace, love, and happiness, bro.
Peace, love, and happiness.
What's the other notes? You want to discuss through some of the other notes? That
was just writing down the thing about the most powerful player in the basketball game is the one who owns the court.
Yeah.
And then the not new, but the concept of the tuning in the dial, tuning in the frequency into output and then receive the thing what matters most, and tuning out everything else that's not in coherence, which is clearly the word of the day, with that outcome in terms of the level of being, doing, and experiencing the happiness of, and then again it's this thing about, because again we're often talking about thriving and survival and that kind of thing, and it it can become very conceptual. We talk about mindset a lot in that where your mind is set, but that's still is very linguistically that kind of stuff. So I've just found this very interesting to think of that. You can actually locate thriving within a certain part of your brain.
Yeah. I had the thought around, I can't remember now. I think that there's a huge element of, it's like when you talk about knowing, right? You can know stuff on the be level, right? On the do level, and the have level. So a lot of people will say like, oh, well, you don't know because you don't have a Ferrari, right? Right? And I might be like, because I know I don't have a Ferrari. Could be like that. Or you don't know because you don't go to clubs and drink champagne at like £60,000 a bottle, right?
But because I know, I choose not to do that.
Or
here's the thing though, which is really strikes me as you were saying that, and that is, it's the response that counts. Do you know what? Do you know what I mean? So whatever it is you do, so you don't know because you don't have a Ferrari, and you go, oh yeah, okay, I don't know, I don't have a Ferrari.
You're right. You're right. I'm nothing.
Or I'm nothing. Or you don't know because you don't have a Ferrari. So well, I know, so I don't have a Ferrari. And again, it's here's that congruence, that putting out into the world and saying, well, here it is.
And so, and the thing then is that we talk about a lot about congruence. So it's like you can know on the level of being, right? And I think a lot of that is tapped into through sort of meditation and just the way you exist, right? The way you exist. So you can know at this level. And I think then the powerful thing to be able to do is to reflect that knowing into doing and into having, right? So if it is like, for example, I think it's like thinking about like Buddhist, I think a lot of people have respect. Like I have inherent respect towards like Buddhist monks, right? It's not my kind of thing that I would like to do, but I respect because they seemingly have that congruence of being a certain way, doing certain bunch of things, that kind of go in congruence with that being, and then having not necessarily much, but that's like incongruence. It's like, hey, it's about being in the nothing and accepting the nothing or omnipotent everything, you do that by being sort of calm, meditate, do a lot of kind of strong stuff and so on. So you're doing the kind of powerful, strong stuff, that's well grounded. And what you have off the back of that is maybe not much materialistically in terms of all these kind of things. You have everything that you need in order to be and do what you are on the purpose of. And to me, that's like very kind of, I'm like, cool, that's cool. It's not my thing, not my kind of thing, but it's cool. I respect that.
I respect anyone who has who knows what they want and goes out and purposefully
does it and gets it.
Yeah. Which actually at one level is everyone all of the time.
Yeah, exactly. You're always getting what and doing what you want.
Well,
it's just that you don't necessarily know what the fuck.
Well, I wrote this morning. It's just interesting how small details make huge differences. And the thing with that was that, you know, there's a lot of talk now, particularly in the personal development area and you know, growth or spiritual growth and creating new, you know, now we've got things like, you know, your ever, you know, lots of people are now taking on this term of your evolutionary purpose. It's not enough to have a purpose anymore. Now it has to be an evolutionary purpose.
Because we have to be eating pizza on Mars
or whatever. When eating pizza on Mars with as octopuses, enlightened octopuses,
or I'm still not sure whether it's called octopi.
It is octopi. I think. Anyway,
you walk into there's a thought here. You walk into a Martian restaurant and the guy says like, "What would you like to eat?" And you go, "Octopi." Octopi.
And he brings out eight pies.
8-sided pie.
Yeah. An 8-sided pie.
8 sides or eight pieces, and like whatever you choose.
Rocks. Dust.
Pie.
But anyway, so there's very that you find your purpose, your thing. So we all have a purpose. And I thought, well, what happens if you take the A out? Or you know, because you're all born with a purpose, but actually you can go a step back from that and say, well, you're all born with purpose. That it doesn't necessarily have to be a singular thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's some people. It's like, well, you know, do you look back and say, well, you know, Elon Musk's purpose is to get humans to Mars, right? But then his purpose is also to create sort of long-term sustainability and to disrupt the electric car industry and to, you know, kind of do the PayPal thing and change the way people exchange money. So what is his purpose exactly?
I think that all wraps up into kind of like evolve humanity, and then there's like the way he describes it is that like one thing to do is to make the Earth sustainable. Second thing to do is to, if that doesn't work out, then make ourselves sustainable elsewhere. Just kind of like betting on both kind of sides of the coin. PayPal thing he describes, and I think this is kind of retrospective kind of rationalization, right? Post-rationalization, saying, well, I always did PayPal to make enough money to then do Tesla and stuff, because obviously, you know, that makes him look like he somehow planned it from the year 21 of his life. You know,
that's
like,
not usually how it works.
Yeah, exactly. But obviously that makes him more powerful in the eyes of investors.
It's a great story.
Yeah, this guy from the age of 21, he was on this purpose of putting us on Mars and stuff. It's like, no, he spent 15, 20 years of his life hoping that NASA was going to do something else, and they didn't. And I was like, oh, fuck, you know, well, I'm bored. Don't know what to do with like $320 million. You know, that's kind of just sitting there. I don't want to put it into another payment.
I'm not a going to live in a Caribbean island kind of guy.
No, he did that. He blew a lot of money on cars and stuff, and it's crashed it and so on. So it's like, well, the thing is, like, you also kind of, when you crash the car, you kind of have this kind of near-death experience. So it's like, oh, we're all gonna die. So since we're all gonna die anyway, why am I putting my money into betting companies or something like that? Why don't I just put it on something that may prolong my life or our life or like evolve us? So there's kind of like all these things kind of lead towards, oh, let's do something to do with sustainability. Oh, guess what? That's also profitable because it's kind of wise to do that. But that's kind of his purpose, right? And I actually I really respect and appreciate it. And, you know, like I will be wishing like all the people who are eating the octopi on Mars, you know, with best of luck and happiness. So.
Are you an Earthling?
For now, yeah, I think so. Although, like, I'm more like Cosmoling,
who happens to live on.
It's just current address that we reside on. All right. So yeah, what's up? Yeah, I've got a question for you. Come into the view of the societal mirror. The question is, who knows you the best?
Well, you, Mum, and Layla. and myself.
What in the priority order? Who knows you the best?
What do you mean by priority?
Like who knows
Who's
you the best?
Top
What's
one.
the top person
And then
that knows you?
Myself.
Yeah.
Yourself. The
Then-
next.
And then you,
Mhm.
Mom, and then Layla.
Okay. And who knows the best?
What do you mean? Who knows the best?
Exactly. This is the question. Who knows the best?
Out of all of us.
Yeah.
According to me,
Mhm.
myself.
Excellent.
Okay, good. You
Choice.
passed the test. There you go. Right. We just like, what is it like? We went for 44 minutes, like bouncing
44 minutes bouncing
Yeah, and he just
ideas,
kinda, like,
and
wrapped
then
it up in 10
it takes a
seconds.
10-year-old to get you straight to the point. The simple, unadulterated truth. Who's the smartest one? Me.
I love
Let's move on. I'll see you next week.
Yeah, like what are we doing now? And that's a good question. Actually, we should probably go for a little walk in the park and start
Awesome.
wrapping this up. Guys, everybody, if anybody ever watched this, follow the channel. We will get a little bit more views on YouTube because of that. We don't necessarily care about that. We don't need it, but you know, it's just a good thing. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.